I'm going to be following this game, following the mid Akali versus Lissandra. Something I always like starting with, and this game's going to be no exception, is going over win conditions. Uh, Win conditions are very important, and the rehearsal of it, I hope, will start to help all of my everyone recognize where different teams' win conditions come from. Because everything is slightly different. Everything's slightly different. You always will have different characters on your team, different characters on their team, and you have to play slightly differently, slightly different. Um, so this game, right? They have a lot of crowd control on their team. A lot of crowd control. Good amount of mixed damage, good amount of peel, and the only plus side that you have is they have no exhaust. That's your best thing going for you right now. Your team has pretty good engage, pretty good team fight, but your job this game as a Akali is probably going to be to split push. Because if you're going to be going into these team fights, you're going to have to be looking for it from the right angle or after it's already started, or else you're just going to get have the Maokai root you, have Lissandra ult you, have the Rammus taunt you. You'll be going on in the middle of all of this crowd control. So ideally, you time your entrance to the fight so that way they already have blown the Lissandra ultimate. Or you can just get straight to the back line where the Jinx is, or the back line where the Yasuo is. But you don't want to be in the front. That's something that you really need to avoid this game. So I would probably be trying to split push. That's what I would be trying to do as a Akali. Your team can play in a team fight pretty well without you because they have disengaged with Janna and they have engaged with Warwick and Kennen. So this means that if you time a fight correctly, you should be able to show up in time to engage something where you have an advantage. And it's all about managing your rotation and managing your split push and wave control to set up for a fight where you have someone off to the side that can't show up right away, and therefore they won't have CC for you. Or you show up late where they've already blown stuff on your team, and you're able to get to their backline. You don't want to show up too late, though, because then the fight's over. You want to show up while it's happening, but after it's been engaged. Another important thing that I talk about if I see it is it's very important to get out of base early. You want to get out of base and you want to be exactly like what this Warwick is doing, exactly like this Janna. You need to be doing this because it's an extremely easy and minor thing to it's so small. But it could have really bad implications for your game if they do invade and they get an invade off and they get kills and summoner spells. So if your logic is, "Oh, I'm safe. I'm not under, I'm not in that jungle. I'm under turret. There's no way they're going to kill me. I'm not going to feed." Well, if you're not providing this assistance for your team because they're not always going to be watching out over here, then you might indirectly kill your bot lane. And if you indirectly kill your bot lane here, they recall, they have more gold, and all of a sudden they can win lane now for free. They recall, they have more summoner spells, they can win lane for free. They steal your jungler's buffs, now all of a sudden your jungler's behind and he can't gank. So they win the jungle for free. And my mentality on this is one of the easiest and simplest things you can do to help your team win. And if you're not doing this, then you're not doing everything you can to help your team win. And if you're not doing everything you can, then realistically you're not trying to climb, you're just playing the game for fun, which there's nothing wrong with. But if you're seeking out mentoring, then you should be trying to do everything you can to win. So you should be defending. You should be part of this line of vision. Get out early and set up that vision. This is terrible. This is a terrible habit. You really do need to change this. So I'm going to be turning on just your team's vision, so that way I can better track the jungler, because jungle has a very predictable route most of the time. And as someone like Akali, or anyone that's going to have to be playing aggressive, you can't just sit back and, wave clear somehow, Ziggs, for example, You're going to have to know where the jungler is to know when you can even be up at the wave. Lissandra has a shitload of crowd control. Rammus is super fast. If you're up here, you're going to die. Straight as simple as that. So you need to make sure you know where the jungler is. So I'm going to go over that as this game goes on with some vision control. And just seeing where your knowledge is, right? So showing up to the wave early is fine. But before I do that, before I watch any of this, the biggest tip to know where the jungler is right here. Right here. You see on the minimap the Maokai's top. You see Lissandra's mid. And their bot lane shows up late. Because their bot lane shows up late, you know that he started bottom. And if he starts bottom, he's going to finish his clear and be on this side of the map looking to gank mid or top between 3 and 4 minutes. So, between 3 and 4 minutes, you need to be playing towards the bottom side of your lane or very far back. Preferably both. Like, that's why I was referencing this corner. If you can somehow be over here, you're in a very good spot. The Rammus should not be able to gank you. And now I'm going to go back and watch your level 1 because that's a very important part of the lane. So you just plan on letting this get pushed into you. That's probably what it is? So you need to work on your CSing ability because that was a free minion and you really cannot afford to lose free minions when you're playing a champion like Akali. A champion that does not get free minions very often. I like doing this too. I typically do that to try and force them off because it shows that you will trade with them. And now the wave's in a great spot for you, but this is going to bounce back to them at 3 minutes. Just watch. It probably will unless she continues to push it, which he might. You're positioning in the wave. You're set up right now that she can Q through her wave, which is a really kind of risky thing. I'd be standing off to the side more. Again, another free minion. You could have queued the minion and gotten that minion instead of queuing her. You're giving up a lot of free CS, which adds up. You don't need to be Wing there either. That's something that your Shroud is a tool where you pop your mark. You need to mark her to zone her away, then threaten with your W. To be doing something like that, you just waste a very important cooldown, and now you could get engaged on, or you're out of the ability to trade for like 15 seconds even. You need to be watching that a lot more. You're not in range. Walk up more first before you put down your Shroud. And if you can't get to her, don't waste the energy. Both literally and you're not going to get the trade-off like you just saw there. But at least you're making her play a little bit back. 3 to 4 minutes, as I said, the wave was going to bounce towards her. So the Rammus probably would be looking mid, but the Lissandra's actually out of mana, so you're in a pretty good spot. Where is the Rammus? Oh, bottom. Okay. That's an unusual clear. He didn't even do blue buff. I wouldn't have been able to predict that. You're really bold attacking that turret. I wouldn't be trying to do that there. You're not going to get... That chip damage really isn't worth it. Because there's no way you can trade with her whenever you're under the turret like that. Even though she had no mana, it wasn't... That's not a good mechanical choice. And you saw the Rammus was coming up river just there. You just used your only escape ability. See, there's the Rammus. You're probably going to take a lot of damage here. Or you have to blow flash. You could have just waited for that minion to come up more and not queued it, saved yourself the energy. Because then you didn't have it to clear that wave. You've lost probably between 5 and 10 minions that were free so far because a mixture of your last hitting needs work and your resource, like your ability management. But I guess you're still doing average, so it's not terrible. If I was you, I'm not sure how much money you have now, but I would be looking to shop soon. Your level 6 is where you have a lot of kill pressure. Okay, actually, this is also worth talking about. So, invading is a two-man job. And it looked like you were showing up for it. You were coming over that way, but then you turned around. This is something that if you don't respond to, it could turn out pretty badly for your team as a whole. And you were in an okay position to respond to it. This wave right now is in a pretty frozen spot. She could probably hard push this to your turret. She probably could. But whenever you left, she was already... You see this wave whenever you left? It's going to definitely push to her. And now you're looking for this invade. But you're not there. I would be looking to at least walk over to make sure that the Lissandra couldn't respond. And if the Maokai responded, I would be there as well. Your Warwick does get out, I think. Yeah, your Warwick gets out. But this is an example. Their team was able to collapse on that. And this is, again, an example of what I was talking about. See how much harass you're able to take because of where you're standing in the wave? You're giving her what she needs to trade with you. You're standing behind the minions, which extends her range. If you stand to the side, her range is less than your Q, actually. So you should be perfectly fine to never get damage done to you if you just stand to the side of your minions. You're also pretty damn disrespectful walking up after taking all of that damage. And she's disrespectful for standing in your shroud that whole time. Pushing this out is an okay idea. You would need to be doing it pretty fast, what you're trying to do, and missing a lot of CS in the process. Okay. You really do need to spend time working on your last hits. You miss a consistent amount of CS that's free. You also do need to work on your lane aggression, where you're positioning in lane. This is a little more matchup dependent, but since I'm noticing a problem against the Lissandra, I'm imagining it happens in a lot of cases. And the higher you go in rating, the more they will punish decisions like that. The roaming thing towards this fight wasn't necessary, but it's something you need to consider. Since it happened this game, I pointed it out. Some games you're going to need to show up for this. Some games you're not going to have to. This game was one you did not have to. Item. Okay. I like how you got a pink ward. I wouldn't be ulting to the minions either. Your cooldown at rank 1 with Akali's R is considerable. It's something like 40 seconds, somewhere around there. It's not something that you should be using on minions, because if you do get an all-in potential, you get an opportunity to all in. You want to make sure you're able to go in all the way. And if you've already used 2 stacks of your R on minions, you're not going to be able to chase a kill. You freely use your R to push the wave. That's not a good sign. I don't know where the Lissandra is, but showing up to attack him there. You see, that was 2 stacks of your R to kill him here. That's all you needed. And you've been using it on the wave, so your resource management needs a lot of work too. But okay, we're getting to the part where you said you didn't know what to do past 10 minutes. All right? 10 minutes is coming up. Well, whenever I was going over your win conditions earlier, I was talking about how you probably are going to need to split push. But in this game, the way that it's going so far, top lane is kind of at a well, it's not in a very good spot, honestly. But he's already got magic resist, so you're not going to be able to get a kill here. Bot lane is in a mobile champion, and I would be looking to gank her. And if you can take this tower and then trade them lanes, you'll be in a pretty good spot. Because you know what? Tristana is going to be able to take this tower pretty easily, and letting her rotate mid to take this tower is a very, very good idea. So if you could somehow kill them, which odds are you'd even be able to dive after, one more item or one more recall. 3 stacks of your ult to dive this probably is going to work out. They got a Yasuo to peel. That's not really going to work. So you should be able to do that. As the current mid lane goes, you're probably not going to be in a position to get too many more kills on Lissandra because she can either ult herself or ult you, and if she always plays back under turret, there's no way you'll ever be able to go in. So you're just farming if you're mid. And there's nothing wrong with that, per se, but farming kind of stalls out a game. If you're looking to win a game, the only objective that matters to win a game is the Nexus. And to get to the Nexus, you need a row of turrets. So all of your decisions need to be, how are you going to get turrets? Now, Baron gets you turrets, so yeah, Baron's a very important objective too. But rotations towards bottom lane so you can get this turret and let the bottom lane come up to take your turret, because as I said, you shouldn't have been on this turret to auto-attack it that one time, because she could get free trades on you. And the only reason it worked out was because she was out of mana, but she's not going to be out of mana the same way again. Or rather, if she manages her resources, she won't be. So trading the waves, trading the lanes to get your side wave to split push as soon as possible is your win condition right now. And you know that you just forced the Rammus out of the jungle. So if you start roam down with this, this is such an easy dive. You have 4 of you. Roam down bottom now. Keep staying for this, There was no reason to go back mid here. You had another kill. And you had your objective a short ways away. Yeah, you let that one get away. And all you did was push this wave into the turret. And you wouldn't even really be able to get any damage on this turret. If you were able to slap this turret for the entire duration, probably would have gotten it to like 60% of its life. Roaming top here, you're probably not going to get anything. He's already got magic resist. Your Kennen shouldn't be able to go in. Yep, see? Not a good gank. If you were this kill hungry, then why didn't you stay for the Yasuo? And if you'd stay for the Yasuo, you could have also dove the Jinx, as I was saying earlier. I don't know how many stacks of R you have here. Probably not enough to go in. So then you're going to walk back mid, clear out this wave, and you need to start roaming bottom. Your focus this game has been top lane or following your mid laner. And as a champion like Akali, you have a lot of roaming potential, and you need to use it. Whenever you're thinking about roaming potential, you need to be thinking about your win condition, where you can set up for it, and where you think you'll be able to get something. So sometimes your win condition is different from where you think you'll be able to get something. Maybe the Maokai's at 10% life, dive him. Yeah, sure. But you should really be trying to get your Tristana to get the turret, to get your win condition playing. And again, here all you're doing is following. Now, this is a good idea for you because you're level 9, she's level 7, you're fed, she's not. But it's not something that really should have happened. You should have been the one first to roam, and she shouldn't be walking in this dangerous location. Punishing her makes a lot of sense, so yeah, I'm all for you doing it. Alright, so one of my rants that I always go on is Dragon is not important. Dragon gives you the potential to get an objective later. Think about what all of the different dragons do. Earth Dragon gives you damage to turrets and other objectives. So if you could get a turret, then it's a guaranteed objective, while this is only the potential of an objective. So Earth Dragon, it's worth it if it's free, but it's not free right now. Are giving up this wave, and you're giving up a lot of turret damage. You're giving up the ability to possibly take bot turret. If the bottom laners were not even here, see their base. You could have even zoned them off by like standing over here and potentially taking bot turret. Earth Dragon for sure isn't worth it. And okay, what does Air Dragon do? Air Dragon gets you rotations. So you can set up a fight where you have an advantage, or just go to a turret while no one's there and take the turret. Again, it's the potential to get an objective. Ocean Dragon, health regen and mana regen, which lets you stay in lane longer, which lets you get to the turret. Oh, and Infernal Drake, right? Infernal Dragon. Well, it lets you win fights, yeah. But do you know what you do whenever you win a fight? Do you know why kills and stuff like that are important? It opens up the map to take objectives. Because if you kill someone and you recall, you're just stalling out the game and they can come back at any point. So that Infernal Dragon that you got is essentially worthless if you never win the game. I'm sure you've had many games where you've had like 3 dragons and you still lose. Because dragons are the potential of an objective and not an actual objective. So if you never follow up on what you do, they're a complete waste of time. At lower elo especially. In professional play, I would argue dragon's a little more valuable. But it's not something that is worth dying for. A lot of the time you would see that people only take this whenever it's free. And yes, when it's free, it's great. But if you die for it, it's not worth it. And if you have something better to do, it's not worth it. You have something better you could have done. A lot of things that you could have done. You could have been mid right now, trying to kill Lissandra. You could have been bottom, trying to dive or just zone out and to get this turret. This is a waste of time. Your jungler isn't even here. There's absolutely no reason to start this. See, look at that wave that just crashed against your turret, and she could have autoed it this whole time and got it to half health. And instead, you guys die for it. And as I said, not worth it. Not worth it at all. And that was your decision. That was your decision to die, to have 3 people die for that. And if they play it right after this, not only will they probably get 4 kills, but they'll probably get an objective. Because they could have gone to this turret, or they could have gone to this turret. Your entire team died because, well, partially because you decided to do this. Because your Warwick showed up here instead of being able to show up top lane. Dragons are not worth it. Dragons are not worth it. Look at all this turret damage they're going to get. They're going to fucking take this turret too. You just gave your team the potential to get an objective. You gave them 5 kills, and you gave them an actual objective. Not worth it at all. I would argue that that was actually a game-losing decision. You did pick up a nice kill there, because they overstayed. Since your Warwick's mid, I would have stayed bottom for this turret. Just ensure that you get this turret, so that way you could start trading some objective money back. It's not really taxing, because you just essentially saved the Tristana's life, and you're getting your entire team money. Rotating back mid, you might be able to kill Lissandra, and might be able to get mid turret, but you could guarantee that you get bot turret. So far, your laning positioning is bad, your resource management is bad, your CSing is bad, and your decision making is pretty bad. Decision making is something that's hard to go over without, because everything is situation dependent. Decision making is something that's as simple as choosing to gank the Maokai instead of going bottom, to staying bottom, to following for kills. It's really situation dependent. And oh yeah, and of course doing the dragon, which I ranted about for a while. But you always need to be thinking about, what can I get, and constantly be thinking about your win condition. And your win condition, you should be thinking about at loading screen, during champ select, all game because sometimes it changes. Maybe if your Kenna gets super fed, you have a new win condition. Maybe if their Yasuo gets super fed, you kind of can't split push against him. Win conditions can change. So it's something that you should be updating, but you should have a strategy in mind. And your strategy should be ultimately, of course, to take their Nexus. How do you get this Nexus? Well, if they have more wave clear, how do you out-rotate that? What kind of setup do you need to do this? Where do you need to put wards? Who do you need to get fed? All kinds of stuff like that comes into play. This game, you very, very obviously are not thinking about any win conditions. I don't know what order they picked their champions, but picking Akali into this mess is really risky too. Because if they play it right, you should never be able to go in. That's why I was saying you would probably need a split push. And again, see, you didn't even get this turret. While you would have definitely been able to if you were here. And if she plays it safe like that, you should never be able to kill her. And you start wandering bottom to get Scuttle. Trade lanes. You see this lane, Jinx is super overextended. Go down here and kill her. This is so overextended. Alright, so I think another one of your problems is you don't know when to rotate or how to trade lanes. You're not assigned to stay in a lane. You're assigned to start in a lane. And your awareness also needs work. You had vision of that. You had vision of this. And then you for some reason go in. So you're not watching any wards that are put down. Awareness, CSing, lane position, rotations, decision making. I haven't been keeping an eye too much on your wards, but you did put down some wards. You just don't use them. I think that you more so used your pink ward as a bait than actually using it as defense. Because you didn't know where the Lissandra was, and you just ran over to attack the Rammus. And now you get damage done to your turret because you died. Hmm. This isn't trading lanes though. I I'm fine with you guys staying for this turret, but you should have already had this turret twice now. So it's a really late turret take, and you're not even necessary for it at this point. Here you have a pretty good amount of jungle setup. I would be camping and waiting for them to come back bottom, because the Tristana is going to bait them, or require them rather, to come back to this. Go on the Jinx. Yeah. Because you went on the Yasuo, you put yourself in the middle of their team. If you had gone onto the Jinx, odds are you would have only had the Jinx running behind the tower, and you could have more easily tanked the turret while killing the Jinx than stood in the middle of their team. Because the Maokai was going to crowd control you, and the Yasuo too. So let's see, do you go mid again? Because you shouldn't, and you do. Yeah, you're locked into the mindset of you always have to go mid. You don't have to go mid, and you're not going to get anything in this lane. You can't wave clear as Akali. You can't, and there's no way you're going to be able to engage on the Lissandra. So your option this game is to split push. And again, how do you know when to split push? Part of it's team comp and win condition, but part of it is also what do you think you can get? Mid lane, the answer is nothing. You're not going to get anything mid. Not against Lissandra, not against the Rammus, not against, well, not with having this lackluster vision, even though you didn't use it whenever you had it. Which isn't an excuse, honestly. You need to use your vision, and you need to set up vision. An extremely important part of this game is vision control. And if you're not using your wards, then that is untapped potential. That is the equivalent of probably like 7 tiers. You'll go from like, I don't know what division you are now, silver 3 to like gold 1. If you just start using wards. Because wards aren't only for you, they're for your team. And if you know where to put your resources, you know how to use their resources, you will make smarter fights, you will take smarter fights, which will get you more objectives, which will win you the game. If I was putting a value on wards, a ward is about as valuable as a kill, which is about as valuable as a dragon. Turrets are worth about 10 wards or 10 kills or 10 dragons, and the Nexus is worth 1,000 or 10,000 or something million, whatever, infinite. If you can get the Nexus, then just fucking get the Nexus because you win the game. Doesn't matter. Baron's like 20 dragons. It's really, dragons are worthless, kills are worthless, but wards are undervalued. You need to be thinking of a ward as the same thing as a kill. And now why? Why do you think that I say that? Because again, what do kills do? They give you the potential to get an objective afterwards. Because this is all that matters, the objective afterwards. Whether or not you do it immediately, or you do it after you get your next item and force them out of lane. It's the objective afterwards. And what do wards do? Well, wards set up a smart fight where you don't need that fucking gold lead because you have 3 people versus 1. You just kind of win there, right? Whenever you see these fights over here where you were getting ganked by like 4 people, it didn't matter that you had 4 kills, because now you've got 4 deaths to match. They set up smarter fights. That's how they were able to play against your kills. And you know one of the ways they do that is with vision control. And also partly your neglect of vision. Smart fights are just... No, they're more important than kills, actually, because as the game goes on, you can have 30 kills and still lose. While 1 ward could mean that you take a fight or don't. And where do you go this time? I got money on mid. Oh no, you're going top. This is actually a really good decision. Because if you get here, you should be able to kill the Jinx. But I probably would have been going bottom again. Here's my glorious bias of... You can 1v1 the Yasuo, and you can push out this lane, but you shouldn't be near the Maokai. You're too slow with your Shroud. You should have been able to avoid almost all of that damage. And there's an example of why you shouldn't have been near the Maokai. This is a champion choice thing, but you don't always get to pick who you're playing against. Because, of course, the Maokai and the Rammus and the Lissandra could have all picked after you. I don't know what the order was of pick. But if you're getting in a situation like this, you need to do your best to avoid them, not run straight into them. Build-wise, I really agree with this. I actually would have gotten... I do agree with this. But instead of completing the Arm Guard, first I would have gotten Mercs. You need Mercs against this team comp, 100%. Okay. And you go back mid. There's nothing wrong with doing that here. I agree with this entirely. Chasing for kills bottom. Close. See, I wouldn't have done the chase for the kill because look what you just lost. You just lost 10 kills equivalents. I'm making these numbers up, by the way. I don't actually think it's worth like quite 10 kills or anything like that. I'm just giving you an idea of trades. A turret is definitely worth more than a kill. Definitely. But it's also about context. So sometimes staying alive is more important. If, like, Baron's up, would you trade your life for a turret if that meant Baron was going to be taken? No, you wouldn't. So it's situation dependent. It's situation dependent. But in this situation, that wasn't worth it. You could have been mid while the Rammus was walking bottom. Could have potentially gone on the Lysandra, at least forced her off this turret. So decision making is a very large problem of yours. Yeah. And you just don't know where to be. You just do not know where to be. Let me see something. Hmm. I don't know if my match history goes that far back. This probably isn't a good one. I'm trying to see if I have a game that I could show you, but I don't have my match history doesn't go far enough back. You're forcing a lot of these fights, and this one, if you want to look at why you won this, it's as simple as a count. It's really simple whenever you have vision to make a smart decision where it doesn't matter that their team has a lead. It was a great fight to take. It was a great fight to take. But again, this knowledge, if you have a ward in the right spot, you could catch this out while the Yasuo just isn't on a wave. So warding is really important. After this, I would have gone to Baron immediately. And sent you bottom. Everyone Baron except for you. You would be able to take Baron, you'd be able to kill Yasuo. Alright, you really are not conscious of how to split push. Even though I don't have a good example, per se, I'll go with one that I have. It's not the best, but it's a game I played Akali, and I can at least touch on it. Alright, here we go. So, I was playing Akali top. I think that Akali top is a lot more common in Diamond than it is in lower ratings, but it should be played more or less the same way. Our team comps are a little bit different, but to go quickly into a win condition for their team comp wants the Alawi to split push, draw pressure, while the rest of them basically just poke off and then engage when we're low. Our team wants to just engage with a Leona and an Orianna to pick the fights and just fight it out. Xin Zhao is also all about the fights, but he can't go into the Alawi. So our win condition is basically somehow we need to separate the Alawi and not die to her, while then being able to engage the fight mid before we get poked down. I'm not really going to watch too much of the early game, but this gives you, see how much emphasis we put on early game? This is all about the early game, and that simple decision cost them a lot of flashes 2 flashes, a heal for 2 flashes, well, 3, I guess, but we still also got an item advantage. Little simple things. You always should be paying attention to your early game. I'm actually going to leave vision on, I think, for everyone. And I'm not going to focus too much on the lane, but my general idea is try and watch out for her skill shots. Since it's a melee, I always am queuing her to try and prevent her from wanting to go in. And I'm playing safe around the timer that I think I could get ganked. See the Nocturnes around here. He could have come up top. I wasn't going in. Even though she was low, I wasn't going in. I'm just clearing under my turret. I'm pinging missing, and I'm just waiting. See? I'm just slow pushing this. This is how I'm managing my wave against a champion like Alawi. And of course, you are against a harder matchup than Alawi, but it ends up the same way. Because you shouldn't be able to kill an Alawi or go in on an Alawi as Akali, and you shouldn't be able to do that on a Lissandra either. I don't remember exactly what happens here. I know I kind of get I kind of get dicked early, but I don't think I feed too much. Yeah, and then he does a 1-for-1 himself. All right. I just really want to get to the point where I start split pushing. Teleport isn't necessary to split push, but it does help. It's fine to just wait for the wave to come to you. One of the things that I noticed is you're very frequently just going onto the wave, even though it means you're going to take damage or waste energy. Your positioning in the wave is always dangerous. And you see how I wait for the wave to come to my tower? We still end up getting the kill, and I get the whole wave. Xin Zhao ends up staying with me to try and push it in, so that way the Alawi gets denied some more because she teleported earlier, which is always a good move too if you're playing top lane. We get some damage on the turret, and he taxes a lot, which I don't understand why he did, honestly, because he took the kill too. But look, half health turret, 7 minutes in. That's how much damage you can do to a turret if that's what you stay for, and that's what your goal is. Also, just trying to get to a point where I split push. I get wrecked by, I think, just basically Alawi. I don't think the Nocturne did too much there. I get ganked a lot by the Nocturne. And she also gets ganked a lot. It's a fun time to play top lane. So we both have taken the turret, so this isn't a safe lane for either of us. But it shows you, again, the focus that we have on objectives, right? It's 10 minutes in. There have already been 2 turrets that we have taken. And I'm rotating mid to get this kill, if we can. But then we back off whenever we see the teleport. See, we don't chase whenever we no longer have an advantage. We knew that there were 2 people down here, and I didn't actually see the Nocturne's health. And potentially more, because I didn't know where the Karma was. So once we saw the teleport coming in, it was going to be a 2 versus at least 3. And then, okay, maybe 4 over here with these guys. But maybe 4 with the Karma. So it just wasn't a fight I was trying to go into first. Whenever I saw that they were alone, I was going in by myself. See, picking smart fights whenever someone's alone. She has no crowd control for me. The crowd control was walking away. We had, I don't think this was our vision, but she was far enough away with my shroud that I could have gotten back. Be more choosy with your fights is what I'm saying with that example. And I know I'm not going to be able to get anything mid here. So I'm just going to recall, and I'm going to go top lane. Because I'm watching this wave, and I see that it's going to come to me. Yep. So, okay, I haven't quite split pushed yet, because this is standard staying to my lane. I do rotate bottom, though. Don't worry, I do. And there's a lot going on the map. Lots of ganks. It's a joyous time. But I wasn't paying attention to where he was. I wasn't tracking him very well at this point in the game. I just thought the Alawi was alone. I probably still would have died to just the Alawi because of how much he healed. Still back top lane. I wave clear, and then I start rotating. See, I'm not stuck top lane. This is an example of looking for it. I get caught out on a ward, so then I walk back. And that's the equivalent of doing Dragon right there. I was getting the potential to get an objective later. Because if there wasn't a ward here and I was able to go on the Xerath, all of a sudden we got mid turret. And I had teleport, so I then could have gotten back top lane before top lane died. And, okay, so we're losing a lot mid here. And we try really hard to go in on this, but it just doesn't happen. I remember this. It was saddening. And now I finally am rotating bottom. I'm looking to see if I can catch anyone in the jungle. Then I go towards the bottom wave. And see, Orianna's even top lane. You do not have to stay in a lane. It is a little bit late, honestly, for what I was telling you in your game. But you want to be doing this because your tower taking potential, right? You need to be, in this game, the Xerath is going to be able to wave clear everything. You're not going to be able to push one lane as a team. And top lane, there's nothing left to get, for me at least. So I was looking to go bottom, where hopefully I would catch out the Jinx or someone else while they were coming to catch these waves or push this turret, and then get kills and get this turret myself. I don't actually care that I'm around for the dragon. You notice I don't even show up for this. This is my bias. I hope I can convince you that this is an unimportant objective as well. Once I hear the Herald goes, I am going to push. I wasn't pushing this earlier because I was expecting someone to show up. But once I realize that it's safe to push, I push another wave in. I'm watching the map, and then I start seeing them coming down, but I realize I'm going to be able to take this in time, so I stay for this. Because what are they going to get after this? I got a turret, and they're probably going to get a turret, but if I had to back off, and there were 3 of them, they would get this turret anyways. And you know what? We might get something middle if Leona engages. So it's sometimes worthwhile to trade. See, look. They chose to put the pressure on bottom. We chose to put the pressure on middle. We actually end up winning this game too, by the way. I'm going back bottom. I'm not... Oh, I am engaging. Okay. Put down your shroud early, so that way you can avoid some of the damage. Again, I'm bottom. I'm not mid. I'm not top. I'm split pushing. Why am I split pushing specifically bottom? Well, it's because I have teleport and I want my team to have Baron control. So I'm always trying to get out this wave. How I take this fight, I pick the isolated target. As Akali, you want to always look for the isolated target. So that way there's no crowd control and limited burst damage. Because if you don't get burst as Akali, you generally can heal back up. I then start looking for the next isolated target, which it's either try and dive this, which I could have done, but I feel like that was more crowd control than if I was coming over this way. And I was also peeling. Mostly probably peeling at this point. I don't know exactly what my thought process was. But the Nocturne was also super fed at this point, 11-0. And we stay for the objective. We don't recall, we stay for the objective. We don't do Baron because our smites get down, and even though their smite is down, we stay for the objective, right? Turrets. I'm hunting for kills, and I don't know if I got anything. Yeah, I did. And then mid, See, look, I'm assigned top lane, and I go mid. I'm assigned top lane, and I go mid. You look for the isolated targets, and as Akali, even though there were two of them, they were both really squishy champions. I wasn't engaging on the Maokai. I was engaging on a Xerath with no magic resist and no health. The Jinx with no magic resist and no health. It's something you need to really consider when you're picking your targets. Now my team's in a position to get the next objective. See, we even killed the 11 and 2 Nocturne because of the fight that we took. And then we have to run away, and we still end up dying because Alawi's a fun champion. And now I'm going back top lane because there's a big wave. And minion score, 150, that's about where you want it. Putting my Shroud down early and getting a beautiful camp by Nocturne. I don't know if I die here. I do. But anyway, that's all I really wanted to start showing you. That your focus as a champion like Akali needs to be split pushing. Whenever you show up to team fights, you're looking for isolated targets or their squishies. Isolated targets, you don't need to wait for the 5-on-5. I engaged this over here on the Xerath and the Jinx by myself. I engaged on the Alawi because she was isolated. I was bottom for probably 5 minutes, and I was mid for probably 3. You don't have to stay in your lane. Alright, that's all I really wanted to get to. So to highlight your individual problems again, positioning and laning phase, resource management with your energy, and your Shroud. You use your Shroud pretty freely, even whenever you're not going to be able to trade. You don't pay attention to wards. Your awareness needs a lot of work. A lot of work. Your split pushing, you don't split push at all. You tunnel on mid lane. You also you don't know when to stay for objectives or what objectives you need to leave for because you let your mid turret die whenever you were doing something. I forgot exactly what you're doing, like rotating bottom. You didn't recall early for the Yasuo when you should have been able to kill the Yasuo and have your team do Baron. Your decision making as a whole needs work whenever you also went for the Maokai instead of going bot lane ever. You did go bot lane a few times, but you should have done more or earlier. Your decision making whenever you did Dragon, again, I really hope I convinced you this game that dragons are not important. They are not important. Your build, I would have gotten Mercs earlier. If you want to look at my build this game, I didn't get Mercs because they didn't have a whole lot of crowd control, but I finished my build with a Randuin's Omen. So it shows you how much I focus on like defensive items. You really do need a defensive item or two if you're going to die early. The Nocturne was like full damage. Look at that lethality. I needed something for him. So be conscious of your build and update it. It's not something that's stapled to every one of your games. It's something that you should change in your games. Another one of your problems is, let's see. I think I went over the major things. You need to be always thinking about what you can get in your win condition, because you focus on mid lane, like trying to engage on the Lissandra, and then you're ignoring the Yasuo, ignoring the bot turret. Yeah, I think that's everything I've got for you. All right. Hope it was helpful.